Well, hello everyone at Center Court, and we are here with a couple of great people from Notre Dame's Mendoza College of Business. We're going to talk about the student experience in the MBA program. We have a current student, Tanik, who you can see on the screen, and we also have the Director of Admissions, Maria Stutzman Marquez, and she joined the school in the midst of the pandemic in October of 2020, and it's been a great addition to the team at Notre Dame. She is beloved by students and applicants alike. So welcome, Maria and Tanik.
Oh, thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, John, for having us here.
So anyone who knows anything about Mendoza, and Notre Dame for that matter, knows that it's a program that emphasizes ethical behavior, doing good in business for society, a lot of experiential learning projects, and part of a great university, which is founded on Catholic values. Maria, tell us more about the school, the mission, the values, the reputation, and for those who might be outside the country and unfamiliar with Notre Dame, where you're located.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's hard to encapsulate all that Notre Dame represents because of its historic and legendary presence in South Bend, Indiana. It was founded in 1842 by Father Sorin, who is a priest from the Holy Cross segment of the Catholic Church. And so he came in from France, thought that this was, going to be a great place to continue to grow education. And really, Notre Dame was built on this mission to be a force for good in the world. And that mission extends into Mendoza, which was founded in 1921. So we just had our 100th year birthday anniversary.
Happy
And
birthday.
thank you. And so, I think that mission extends itself. Father O'Hara is the founder of Mendoza, at the business school. And again, that was for a means for good in commerce, and knowing that business had a place in really uplifting society. And so we see that now when we think about leadership across sectors and industries, when we think about issues with sustainability, issues in healthcare, updating some of the governmental policies that we have now that no longer serve our modern day. And so we hope that Notre Dame and Mendoza and leadership that stems from the school and its values can continue to really push the envelope in those areas. I think a part of the question that you asked is what are the values? And so we come from Catholic social teachings, which is dives really deep into this idea of human dignity and respect. And within that, there's a level of solidarity for those that are most vulnerable, but also for one another in helping each of us really develop personally and professionally, to be as competitive as we can be to better serve that underlying mission. So I think those principles, at the base of Catholic social teachings are fundamental to who we are as a university and as a business college. So that is seeped in throughout, and I'm sure Tanik will have lots of examples to share about how they're woven through the MBA program.
And the actual motto or value mission statement of the school is, in fact, to grow the good in business.
Yes.
So reinforcing that notion right from the start. And after all, in today's world, with today's generation, very interested and very keen and passionate about doing something that makes the world a better place, not merely going out and making a lot of money, regardless of what you do. And I think that mission obviously attracts like-minded students who then reinforce those behaviors in each other. I read an interview that you did, Maria, shortly after joining the school, and I love the way you put it. You said, we inspire mutual advancement and elevate ethical, servant, and inclusive leadership with experiential learning. And in a way, that one simple sentence, maybe it's a little more than simple, it's a little complicated, captures the true MBA experience, wouldn't you say?
I would say so. Yes, there's so much work to be done. And I think when people are coming in with what you said, that like-minded uh, resolve to really have an impact, it's important. And I also wanted to touch upon, like, we think about, there's always this disparity of, if you're going to focus on doing good, then you can't also reap the benefits of elevating one's economic situation, right? And what we're seeing is that most industries, most companies are also very focused with the same lens. And so we're seeing our candidates really stepping into these wonderful internships and roles, and they are receiving kind of this elevated monetary compensation as well as being able to have an impact. So it's not anymore you can only do one and not the other. It is really being combined. And I think that's incredibly promising for the future of business schools and higher education, even though there is, I mean, there there are more trends that we probably won't address on this talk, but in another time.
That's a really good point. And I wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about the MBA program itself. It's your full-time MBA program is an intimate experience. Everyone knows everyone. The faculty know everyone. It's all on a first name basis. It's almost like an extended family experience, right?
Yeah, I feel like you've attended. I mean, yeah. Have you been there?
Hey,
But
it's
it
my
is.
job to know all these things,
Yeah.
over all the years that I've been covering business education.
Yeah, it is really just that. I mean, we have a small program. There's 20 students in each cohort, although Tanik's cohort is quite unique in that they had, I think, over 140 candidates in the program. And so, we are intentional about remaining quite true to our nature and maintaining that familial uh, connections, like the constellations of connections that can come from a smaller cohort. And then we also have a 1 year program that's at an accelerated pace, and those students ultimately join. So let's say there's between 120, 160 students each year. And the MBA program, is unique in that we do have the three, outcomes that we wish for students. So the leadership, as you mentioned, the experiential learning, and then also this idea of community of mutual advancement. And so when students are in the program, they get a chance to focus on career pathways, which are lined up with like finance, technology, marketing, and also I feel like tech is technology one, or consulting, I think, is the other. I should
Yes.
probably know these right offhand. Um, and so, because of these different pathways, I think students are really shepherded through somewhat of a journey from the point, even before they even start, they're working with career coaches, all the way through their leadership and the orientation, and then they work towards the core curriculum, and then they're given the opportunity to select a major and continue to take classes kind of a la carte in their second year. So, what's wonderful about that is that those three promises and pillars that we stand on are steeped in each of the different segments of the journey. And ultimately, we hope that our students are able to go then and kind of carry the news of Mendoza and the values and the ethics that are embedded within that.
Fantastic. Now, Tanik, tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you to pursue an MBA.
Sure. So I just completed my first year in the 2-year program at Mendoza. Currently, I'm interning. Yay! It was a great year. It's been super fun. I'm a supply chain and operations concentration, as well as a strategy concentration. So depending on how you kind of figure out your schedule, you have the option of having 2 or more concentrations. So mainly, I work in supply chain and operations. Before starting my MBA, I worked at Morgan Stanley as an operations associate. So I knew I wanted to stay within the realm of operations. I worked there for about 3 years after graduating undergrad, and I always knew I wanted to get my MBA. I wanted to continue my education. And what I wanted was a program that would not only foster, a real knowledge of like leadership, but also, technical skills. But I wanted something, a place that would really have a community where I could feel like I'm, actually providing and assisting and helping with society. So that's kind of what led me to Notre Dame when I was going through the process of, researching schools and learning about, what I wanted out of a program. obviously I'm focusing on, where can I learn the most, where can I really take away the most, but also where can I give back. So Notre Dame, I mean, Maria has just said so much that just kind of pinpoints a lot of my viewpoints on Notre Dame. They are a community is the best way to put it. It is so welcoming, and you feel like you're actually a part of something larger than yourself, and that's just from the start. From the first day of orientation, I felt like I was part of something so much larger. I love the opportunities to give back, and that kind of ties into the experiential learning opportunities that Notre Dame has. There are so many, a slew of opportunities, and they're actually increasing too. They're adding on continuously. I think there's a few programs that they've added on for next year. And it really just gives you the opportunity to, like I said, give back, but also feel like you're kind of putting in, this effort, and it's actually doing something. It's larger than yourself. So that's one of the biggest thing that tied me, was the experiential learning. But also another thing that Maria talked about, the grow the good in business mindset was a big draw for me. I've always believed in, servant leadership and, ethical leadership, and to have a program that is so focused on developing those type of leaders, that was just so unique, and something that really drew me to Mendoza. So it's been a great year so far. Right now I'm doing my summer internship, and I can't wait to go back and finish my second year.
And you use the phrase, and I use the phrase as well, servant leadership. And it's important to point out what that is. For those of you who may not have heard that phrase, it means thinking of leadership as someone who supports, guides, and gets the best out of other people, not bosses them around. Yep. So you are literally in some ways, a servant to the people who report to you, because you serve them as much as they serve you, and which is a really important mind frame to get your head around, to get the best out of people. Now, Tanik, tell me what surprised you most about that first year. You're halfway through. I know traditionally you get the core in the beginning. The core is a grind for many people because it's a lot of work thrown at you immediately while you're trying to get to know your classmates, while the recruiters are coming on campus to wine and dine you, and you're getting used to a whole new environment. What was that first year like for you, and what were the big surprises?
Yeah, it was so great. I think the biggest surprise, there's kind of a stigma or a stereotype with, a lot of MBA programs where it's very cutthroat. You are competing against your classmates, you're not working together. You might have team projects, but you're really focusing on yourself. Notre Dame couldn't be further from that type of program. The real competition is you're competing with yourself to do better every single day. And rather than competing with your classmates, you guys are supporting each other. So, you have what we call learning teams in the first few classes that you take in the first year. And I think also the 1 year program does a similar, learning teams for those first few fundamental classes. And, it's for team projects and everything like that. But what comes out of those learning teams, they really do a great job of mixing up the background. So you're learning about different people, you're learning about different backgrounds. People who have experience in finance are helping the students that maybe were history majors, with the finance classes. And you're really supporting each other. And that came from the learning teams, but also the larger cohort. So I was coming in expecting, to like cover my answers and, really, compete with my classmates. And, I have loved supporting my classmates, and I've gotten so much help from my learning team and from my classmates about, things that go over my head or outside of my experience. So it was just such a fun first year. There's a lot of fun social events. There's a lot of fun, ways to get involved, with different clubs and different student leadership opportunities. And I've always been, really interested in, doing all that I can, getting my hands dirty. So I've joined some opportunities for student leadership, and it's just been so great, and it's been a lot of fun. And I can't wait to I have group chats with my friends that I've made in the cohort, and we're all talking about internships and where we are, what are we doing, sharing pictures, and that just continues on. And it's a really nice network of good friends and good people and all different backgrounds as well.
So tell me, what kind of groups or organizations did you align with outside of class?
Sure, yeah. So initially, when I first started, the clubs that I joined, I'm in the Black Student Union. I'm in the Mendoza Professional Services, which is actually an organization that does sort of consulting work for businesses, smaller businesses within the South Bend area. So that was a really fun one. And then, of course, Women in Business, which is, a great organization. Outside of that, I was recently elected the MBA Association president. It's a student, kind of the student government for the MBA program. So thank you. It's been so much fun. I started as a first year representative, and then I ran and won the election for president. And basically what we are, where the organization is an association that is a resource for students. We're trying to make their time at Mendoza the absolute best that it can be. And so, like I said, I love to dive in and get my hands dirty. So I've hit the ground running in this role, and I'll be continuing it next year. And, I'm just trying to make the people that come to the school have, just such a great time and such a great experience, and learn a lot, meet new people, and gain something that they can keep with them throughout the rest of their careers and the rest of their lives. So it's been really fun.
That's great. Hey, if there are 3 words that would ultimately describe the culture of the school, what would those 3 words be for you?
Sure. Let's see. Self-improvement is a big one. You are motivated to kind of improve yourself and continuously improve, generally. I would definitely say, so there's 3 words, and I'm going to take one of those 3 words. Tender, strong, and true is something that we really focus on. I think tender is something that I would take away from that. There's a lot of camaraderie and support and encouragement that I really love about the program. And then a third one, I would say, I want to say challenging, but in a good way. So, you're challenging yourself, you're challenging others to put your best foot forward and to continuously do better. I guess that kind of ties into self-improvement, but to continuously improve. So those 3 words probably are the best ones I can think of on the spot. I can think of a bunch.
That's great, I'm sure. And I think that by tender, you mean showing tenderness toward others.
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly.
Which supports the whole notion of mutual advancement, like
Right.
where people are cheering for each other and the supportive encouraging of each other in their aspirations. Now,
Exactly.
Maria, as you listen to Tanik, is all this echoing in your mind based on your experiences with the other MBAs in the program?
Yeah, I'm actually getting a little bit of the chills as I'm hearing her talk about this. You know, I think that collectively, the group is, you mentioned like 3 words that best describe the MBA. I was thinking about the cohort and our students, and so the 3 words that I would use to describe our students are like, this is multiple words, but generosity of spirit. So they kind of have this like capacity to give beyond themselves. I think like the intellectual curiosity is there, so like that helps with like that really wanting to learn more about one another and about what they're studying. And I do think that they are incredibly hardworking. So there's, those 3 things really kind of, for me, as Tanik was talking, I was like, this is who our students are at the end of the day. And I love that you brought up the tender, strong, and true leadership model, because it is very much a part of Notre Dame's ethos, on the broader scale too.
Now, Maria, I wonder if you had to identify a single differentiator for the MBA program, what would it be? We probably have covered it already, but let's reinforce it.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many. I feel like what everything that I'm hearing from Tanik and everything that I know to be true from our end, from like a staff and faculty, and is this level of personalized student experience. We are student centric. So I think that falls into place with the experience, with the community of mutual advancement, and also the leadership. So I think that's where we're operating from an administration. And I think that that really helps to create this arc of learning and this journey for the students that is really helps to serve them long term in their profession, and obviously
That's
like
great.
clearly in their personal lives.
Yep. Now, Tanik, I want to ask you to isolate 2 moments in your 1-year journey so far. The one moment when you felt, oh my God, this is the greatest decision I ever made to come here. And I have absolutely no regrets. And then I want you to talk about the moment that was most challenging to you in your first year, when you might have actually thought, oh my God, what did I get myself into?
Sure.
I'm
So
sure
yeah,
you've
that
had both.
oh, definitely. Now, that first moment, if you can believe it, was actually that first day in orientation. You know, we and the schedules have changed a bit since I started, but our first day we came in and we were doing headshots. So everyone's dressed up in their business suits, and you know, again, in my head, I'm thinking, all right, I'm ready to really get down and dirty. I'm going to compete. I'm ready to be great. You know, I have this mindset, and I walk in and I'm in line for headshots, and a young man, his name's Chris, who I now know in the program, but at the time, first meeting, he turns around and he goes, "Are you sweating as much as I am?" And I said, yes, because it was a very hot day and we were all in business suits, you know, drenched in sweat, about to take these like nice pictures. And he goes, "Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one." And you know, just that initial interaction, you know, I was like, kind of a breath of fresh air, like, okay, this isn't, you know, high stakes, you know, have to be professional every 20 seconds. So that, you know, I just automatically felt like this was going to be a supportive community just from that first interaction. And then throughout that first day, it continued as I was talking to more people. So from the first moment I started, I felt it, which was awesome. In terms of the most challenging moment, uh, definitely, I think it was Mod 3. It was one of our classes, problem solving, which was the most difficult but most rewarding class that I experienced so far. It was so hard, a lot of hard work, a lot of time went into it, but we got a lot of out of it in the long run. And you know, it was challenging because it was a lot of hours, and it was teamwork as well as individual work. And so that was something you had to kind of manage, you know, how you're balancing your time. And that was at a time, I think I was either a first year rep or I was about to transition into the president role. So there was already a lot of things that were piling up. And I guess to kind of bring it back to that first moment, you know, I'm going to melt the moments. You know, I was sitting in the MBA lounge and I'm just, you know, okay, I got to do this, got to do this. And then, you know, someone comes up to me, a friend of mine, and she says, "Okay, what do you need? You look like you're stressing out a bit. Like, what do you need? What can I help with? Do you want to talk through some stuff? Figuring out whether you want to run, you know, all these topics." And you know, it just, again, as I'm freaking out and, you know, going crazy because I'm super busy, super challenged, I have this person, and this is one of many people that would have sat down with me and been like, you know, let's just talk about this. Again, just a testament to, you know, the community that the program has and the program fosters in general.
Yeah, that's terrific. And you know, Maria, one question I really love to ask students, but I'm going to ask you first, is when I go to campus and I go out to a bar and have a few drinks with MBA students, what I like to ask is, okay, what are the three hallmarks of the program? What are the three things that you've experienced that years later you'll remember as important and formative to you? Maria, what would your students generally tell me?
Mhm. Well, I'm going to give a little bit of a caveat here, and I think that those three things would be different for every individual.
Ah,
But if I were to ask that question, I think it would be the community feeling, right? So we talk about, and you've heard this expressed by Tanik, it is that Notre Dame fosters community. And I can give you an example. I started, as you mentioned, October 2020 during COVID times. And, you know, I was isolated in this small town that I had not been a part of before. And you know, I was calling it like Zoom work, TV on TV 24/7. And the community just like reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to go to coffee. I did like listening tours with students, and they all said, just get ready for the time when we can get back to campus. Then you'll see kind of the magic that is there. And I could feel it already just in terms of like the students that I was connecting with, and the administration. But it wasn't until we stepped foot back on campus in August and we were able to welcome our Tanik's class, and the other classes that were coming in across Mendoza, that you get the sense of the excellence
mm,
that is curated for the students. The amount of time and energy that goes into that student experience from everyone is outstanding. And I hope that if I was having a nice refreshment with some of our MBA students, that they would also recognize like the level of attention and detail that goes into that to create and foster that community feel. And John, if you have not been to a Notre Dame football game yet, that takes that experience to a
Yeah.
whole other level,
Yep.
because then you're immediately drawn into different groups, alumni groups beyond Mendoza. I mean, you're invited to the law school tailgating. You sit with members of the community. There are people from all over the United States and sometimes even internationally who come back to these games. I think there was a John Bon Jovi sighting at one game. So, it's just this community feel that being present and within the community is, you can get a sense of that from these conversations and from others, that physically being present. So I would invite anybody who wishes to visit campus to take the time to come and
Yeah.
visit us here in South Bend.
Tanik, what are the 3 hallmarks for you so far?
So I'm going to piggyback off of Maria. Community is definitely a really big one. We've talked nonstop about how great the community is, and she mentioned the tailgates, and there's so much that the program leadership puts into the student experience that makes that community. So again, couldn't agree with her more. I would also say too, the spirit of giving is something that is really fostered in the program, and like I said, people are so generous with their time. People in my cohort, my classmates, my professors, again, program leadership, everyone's so generous with their time, with their resources. And that's just a big tagline for me. And then the third one, I would say, it's something we haven't really mentioned, is the alumni network, which is so amazing at Notre Dame. I heard about it before I started, and I'm thinking every school has a great alumni network, like no big deal. I came here and, the career development team has you starting with alumni networking just right off the bat. And I was absolutely shocked at how welcoming and helpful and encouraging and excited the alumni of Notre Dame and Mendoza's program are. They are so happy to talk to you, happy to guide you, happy to work with you, talking about resumes and job opportunities. And it's absolutely astounding how much they love Mendoza and love Notre Dame. And they will talk your ear off about how much they love the program. So it's something really unique to Notre Dame. And every school says that, but I'm here and I'm experiencing it. It's very unique to the school and the program, how wonderful the alumni network is.
Have you had one class or one professor who you think has made the greatest impact on you in your first year?
Yes, easy answer. Mike Meyer, he's our accounting professor. I am not an accounting person. And he made that class so much easier than, not easier, but he was really there to help students to kind of accomplish goals. But, his tagline, and it's one that I love, he comes into class and he says, I want to start this off by telling you, every day is the best day of my life. Teaching you guys, being here at Notre Dame, every single day is the best day of my life. And you feel it when he teaches the class. You feel it when you talk to him. And he was by far one of my favorite professors. I had him from the beginning, and just the enthusiasm. It's just an example, because all the professors have that kind of enthusiasm, but Mike Meyer, just every day is the best day of my life. That's how he comes into class. So it's absolutely amazing. Yeah.
You gotta love a person who starts with that. You gotta.
Yep.
Wow. And I would never have taken you for a person to say accounting was your favorite class.
Exactly.
Because you're such a natural extrovert. That's sort of like a contradiction in some level to be so buried in numbers. But he made that class so inviting and that subject so accessible that it just turned you on. That's great.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maria, what's your advice to people who are making this big decision in their life? To pursue an MBA and where to go?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the most that I can offer is that it's really important to, once you've even had that thought come through, is to start really attending events like this at Poets and Quants, attend, respective school events, because you want to learn. You really want to get a sense of the ethos of the community. You want to get a sense of the outcomes, and you really want to see where your values align with the respective programs. I think that's incredibly important. And I would say this to anybody who's even considering like a pivot in their career or anything like that. Do research, investigate, be curious, study and learn about all the components of the application process, reach out to alumni and students, reach out to us in the admissions office. I think people think that we can be like gatekeepers of sorts. That's not really the case. We're all here in higher education because we want to see people succeed. And so we're here to help be supportive in that. But this is a time of continued reflection, of study, and then really setting up a strategy where you can then position yourself with the programs that you feel most aligned to. So I think that's, and if you're watching this now, you are in a good position to make a great competitive application and go through that process seamlessly. So don't, no haste. I mean, make haste in getting this done.
And Tanik, I'll give you the last words. Your advice for someone who is at the start of the journey, as you were not all that long ago, what would it be?
My biggest advice, and it kind of ties to Maria's, is talk to as many people as you can. Attend events like these, but also do your best to set up opportunities to talk to actual program leadership, current students, alumni. They will give you the most realistic point of view as to what the program looks like, what they're looking for, and what you can get out of it. So if you can email random people, you'd be surprised the answers you'll get. And opportunities, find people on LinkedIn, whatever resources you can find where you can talk to people. I would highly recommend doing that because they'll give you the best idea of what the program is and what the program, whether it kind of is what you're looking for as well. So that'd be my biggest piece of advice. And don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Terrific advice. Absolutely. Maria and Tanik, what a pleasure it is to be with you this last half hour. Really appreciate it. I think we packed a lot of great information into this session. And I hope all of you out there have a better understanding of the program, the MBA program at Notre Dame. I certainly do. So Maria and Tanik, thank you so much, and best of luck to you, Tanik, and your second year.
Thank you.
Sure, you have an internship this summer?
Yes, I'm actually currently in Seattle. I'm entering with Amazon AWS for the summer.
There you go. Amazon Web Services, for know that acronym, which is a great place to be. And if you're interested in supply chain, well, Amazon has quite a few supply chain challenges.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt about that. No shortage of jobs there. All right, Maria and Tanik, thank you so much. And for all of you out there, this is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Thanks for joining Center Court and learning all about Notre Dame's Mendoza College of Business.